You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Blessings, everybody. How y'all doing? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Cafe de Paris, reporting to you live from what I would like to consider the trap room. This is where I'm constantly trapped, y'all. In here, I make all of my cups, my tumblers. I press t-shirts. I do a little bit of everything. I do my businesses because I got 3-4 different type of different business ventures going on. So this is where all the magic happens. So welcome to the trap room, because I'm trapped in here for hours at a time. So y'all, nevertheless, definitely appreciate y'all for taking the time to stop by, show me love, hang out with me just for maybe I'll probably go into this content for about an hour. It all depends, but I'm gonna try to keep it down to that. But I definitely wanted to pretty much do content on this due to the fact that I'm sure that there are many jails, prisons, correctional institutions that, if you're not familiar with, are suffering significant staff shortages. And there's many reasons behind that. If you're considering going into law enforcement, but I'm going to separate that. In this case, I'm specifically talking about corrections. So, what is corrections? Corrections pertaining to actually working within the correctional institution, meaning the jail. Working as a CO, correctional officer, guard, sometimes I say prison guard, jail guard, whatever. But keep in mind, jail and prison is two totally different things. Jail is a facility in which they house offenders that will be getting shipped to prison sooner than later, or they are only there to serve a short amount of time, less than maybe 4 years, for simple offenses. And simple offenses don't necessarily have to just be misdemeanors. You have some simple felony offenses as well. But anyway, this is for any of you who are interested in becoming a correctional officer, or you have just been hired and you're wondering what to expect. Maybe you're just interested. Maybe the idea was brought to you. Maybe somebody recruited you and say, hey, would you like to work for such and such county jail? We are a team. We have phenomenal benefits. You'll get paid X amount of dollars. We have a wonderful health care plan. You'll get all of these sign-up bonuses. Maybe you're considering it. Basically, you're thinking about it because it sounds really good, right? All of this money, all of this paid vacations, wonderful 401k plan. It all sounds such like a wonderful, magical thing. However, not only is this an issue within the state, this is a national problem. There are many states that are suffering from lack of staff, understaffing within these correctional facilities. There's a reason for that, and I'm going to break it down. I'm going to thoroughly share with you what really goes on in these correctional institutions as a correctional officer. I've done it for 2 years, so this is not something I've heard. This is something I know and I have myself personally experienced. This won't be something I'm sharing with you from another officer who's done this, from other bloggers who have done this. I personally experienced this in my, I say 2 years some change of being in this profession. And if you are strongly considering going into corrections, the first thing I want to tell you, do not go in only for the money. Let me make this clear. If you're going in corrections for the money, you are not going to last long. Okay? I don't care if they offering to pay you $20 an hour, $23, because now, slowly but surely, they're increasing the pay. But what they're paying you is not going to amount to the stress that you're going to be dealing with. So do not just go into this for money. Okay? That's the first thing I want to say. Secondly, don't go in because you want to feel like somebody important. You know, we see officers in uniforms. It's this false perception of you having so much authority. Oh, something is in my eye driving me crazy, y'all. Something. But don't go into this profession because you want to be, you think it's going to make you more confident. You think it's going to give you a sense of purpose. A lot of people want to go into corrections or law enforcement because they see the uniform, they see the badge, they see the gun on the waist, and they see visually a man or a woman in his uniform, and it's automatically this assumption that this person has a lot of authority. And it gives you this sense of making you think that once you get in this type of profession, you're going to have so much authority. People are going to respect you. People are going to look up to you. Don't go in basically because you're looking for admiration. You're looking for some type of thinking you're going to get all this respect and clout because you got on this uniform. Okay? There are more people who hate people in the uniform more than people that they have more. It's more people that's going to hate you in the uniform than more people that's going to admire you. Okay? There's going to be more people that's not going to respect you than actually respect you. So don't not go into this because you want to feel special and important. Also, I don't recommend, do not go into corrections if you don't have a stable support system. Meaning you're going to have a supportive husband, supportive wife, supportive family. And the reason I say this is because you're going to be working a lot of long, gruesome working hours. This is not the type of profession in which you're going to get off your same time every day. It's not going to happen. If you are the kind of person, you pretty much want your day to be the same for the most part. You pretty much want your 9 to 5. The most you may have to stay is maybe another 15, maybe the most 30 minutes. This is not for you. This is not the type of profession in which you're going to get off your correct time every night. Don't believe it for a second. Now, during the orientation, during the hiring phase, they will make you believe that. They will tell you you will work 1 week, you work 3 and have 4 off, or you'll work 3 and 4 off, or you'll work 4 on and 3 off. You know, they alternate. Make you think you're going to have a certain amount of days off. And you're going to look forward to those certain amount of days because the kind of stuff that you're going to be dealing with, the type of attitudes, the type of stress, you're going to be looking forward to those days. And I promise you, you're not going to get those days that you're looking forward to having. Now, all jails are different. But you have to understand, and I'm going to go into that later, why you can't be assured or promised that you're going to get these certain amount of days off. Okay? So you have to keep that in mind. If you want to work a 9 to 5, you want to be able to get off of work and pick up your kid from on time. You want to be able to, just set aside time for things that, you're used to doing. This type of profession is very demanding. You're not going to get all of those days off because people are constantly calling out. Just to also give you insight on that, people calling out, and it's come from the fact that a lot of people are burnt out. And this is all bottom line, that the jail has to be accounted for. It has to be accounted for. And the reason why you have to work so many hours because the jail runs 24 hours a day. It's not like Walmart. Walmart closes at midnight. I mean, at least here where I live, it does. It's not like working at a warehouse. It's 24 hours around the clock. It does not have a closing time, which means you have all of these inmates, these offenders that are going to have to be supervised and monitored. So therefore, they have to keep a certain amount of staff or officers running that jail. For instance, the jail where I used to work, they need at least I think they said they need at least I think 300 officers to at least operate the jail. I think maybe 300 to 500, and they are short of 150 officers. A lot of these jails have a problem with not having enough of officers to operate or regulate that whole jail. And this is the reason, and I'm gonna go into this next. There's a reason why these jails are so understaffed. The funny part is they keep saying they need more help. They always constantly putting out commercials that they're hiring. They're looking for people that want to be dedicated, that want to be a part of the team. They put out this salesman pitch, making you think that they are just in dire need of staff, which they're not lying about that. They're being honest about that. They really do need the staff. What they're not being honest about is why they need staff. They're not being honest about why they are in dire need and are willing to hire just about anybody at this point in time. That is the part where I come in at. Because a lot of you who are interested in corrections, you're pursuing it, you done filled out your application, you're getting ready to go through the process. During orientation, they're not going to be honest with you about a lot of things. A lot of stuff you're not going to find out till you in too deep, until you go out there and get a mortgage, and you got to stay in this stressful environment because you got to pay a mortgage. Or they give you all these dollar signs that you're going to get, so you run out there and get you a new car. You basically put yourself in all this financial debt because you're looking at the dollar signs, and you're not understanding that there's a reason why they are always hiring. There's many reasons as to why they are consistently short of staff. Right now, the correctional systems are in dire need of help. There's not enough officers running these jails. I done ran into some TikTok videos, a couple of videos in which inmates who have been able to illegally get cell phones in these institutions, recording and uploading videos of no staff being inside the units to assist them if they need medical care, to assist them if they feel like their life is in danger. A lot of jails don't have officers that are supervising, present. They don't have enough staff available. So a lot of these jails and prisons are running itself. There's no staff there. And the staff that is there, they do not want to get down and get their hands dirty. They too bougie, or they got so much rank to where they don't want to come from behind their desk and come down and actually go through the guardrail, the jail part where the inmates are housed. They're too good to come down there and help. They're too good to step in from time to time to alleviate the officers there that are getting burnt out. So what is happening? A lot of officers are quitting. If they're not quitting, they're getting fired over a lot of malicious, vindictive upper staff are basically lacking the common sense and streets knowledge of not being manipulated by other inmates. It's one or the other that caused termination. Either you did something really, really dumb and illegal against your badge, or you have a personal issue with somebody who has more rank than you, and because they decide to deal with you on a personal note versus a professional note, they can, falsify, write up, make untrue statements, write you up for frivolous things to cause you to get terminated. Or, like I said, you bring it upon yourself, allowing inmates to mentally manipulate you, get inside your head, and talk you into doing things that you should not be doing as a correctional officer. Or, like the factors I'm getting ready to go into, a lot of officers are quitting because they're burnt out. So let's get down to the stick and potatoes. Why are these jails understaffed? Why are they understaffed? Let's start with the first thing. The first thing is that you have officers suffering from burnout. Like I said, this is not your regular job where you work a 9 to 5. You may do another 15, another 20 minutes. With the jail, you have to realize there's so much going on. There are more inmates than there are staff. You may have 10 inmates to every officer. That's how overbearing it is. Now, the county jail in which I worked, majority of one officer, you worked a wing by yourself, being over 55 through 60 inmates, offenders. And that's just on the average regular day. You're not going to be over no 5 inmates, no 10. You're looking at every bit from 55 to 60, 65. Now, with COVID, I was there doing COVID. I dodged a lot of bullets because during that time frame, a lot of inmates were not being housed there to keep the COVID numbers down. So around that time, a lot of offenders was getting away with not having to, be detained and brought in. They was not locking people up for misdemeanors, for child support, or those who did get locked up was able to be granted to be released the next day because COVID had basically taken over these correctional facilities, so they could not burn officers out as much because they were not allowed to house but so many inmates. But see, that's kind of over. We know COVID is still in full effect, but now what's going on, y'all, is the jails have gotten worse. Anytime you hear a story about a young man being murdered, you're hearing a story about someone who lost their life because somebody was drinking and driving, DUI. Keep in mind that every time a crime happens, these individuals are going to your local correctional institution. And as we all know, the gun violence, the crime rates in gun violence is at an all-time high. The correctional institutions are overcrowded with the majority of black men being number one in the running. Okay? So far, they're the most high populated race as far as being repetitive criminals. Constantly, it's that revolving door. Habitual offenders. constantly coming right back. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen so many of these black men who get released from jail, complaining, bitching the whole time while they're there. They hate being here. They hate officers. They hate judges, blah, blah, blah. Only to be gone and come right back 5 months, 6 months later for a probation violation. Doing the same very thing that got them locked up the last time. The recidivism rates are at an all-time high for black men. Not only that, we have offenders of other races. There's a high percentage of Hispanics. A lot of them that are not even supposed to be here legally. A lot of that is going on. You have older offenders who just become institutionalized to the point that where they can't even function out here in the real world. You know, they've been in and out of prison for so long, all they know is prison. So they're more comfortable being in a jail habitat because they don't have to work, they don't have to be responsible, they don't have to fend and feed themselves. You know, jail to some of these offenders are a way of survival. And it helps them from not having to be responsible. They don't want to go out here like some of these real men, get a house, pay mortgage, get a car, pay car note, take care of their family, take care of their children. Some men do not want the responsibilities of being a real man. Not only that, you have to deal with the female offenders. Female offenders, they're no better. A lot of these women are on drugs, constantly in and out of the jail. I've known a lot of them who finally got released only to find out they died from a drug overdose, because all that time when they were incarcerated, they couldn't get no drugs. They couldn't get high. So the first thing they do as soon as they get out, you know, they want to go get high, because their bodies have gotten so used to being clean all those 6 to 8 months during their duration in the jail. As soon as they go out there and take their first hit, it takes them out, because their body has gone so long without it. You get what I'm saying? So you have a lot of this that goes on in the jail. And because of that, these jails stay overcrowded. You got to deal with abusers, the drug users, those who just have no regards for the law, don't mind breaking it, don't mind getting locked up only to be released and come right back. This makes it very overwhelming for the officers who have to be in leadership, who have to be in authority over these individuals. A lot of them just keep coming back. If they're not coming back the first time, if they're not a repetitive criminal, the first time they do enter the facility, they enter for something very heavy that's going to cause them to be there for a long time. I can tell you that here in my county in Georgia, it's been so many young black men getting murdered. So we have a lot of murderers who never been incarcerated before, never been in jail before. The first time ever, at least getting caught and ending up in the hands of, you know, becoming an inmate. A lot of them are coming in for heavy crimes. As a correctional officer, you're going to be dealing with drug users, woman beaters, hardcore criminals. You're going to be dealing with young, rebellious, disrespectful, disobedient young men who have no respect, no regard for life, because some of them don't have kids, they don't have a family, they don't have nothing to look forward to make them reconsider their actions. You have a lot of young men that are 17, 18 and have unalived other young men and are now looking at doing time in prison for their first body. When I say body, meaning the first charge in which they actually unalived an individual and took their life. Okay, a lot of that is going on. I can't even begin to tell you in my county, it's so many young black men getting murdered, and because our town is small, it doesn't take long for the police to put together and the detectives to put together and find a person who did it. It doesn't take long. People talk, people give tips. Not only that, cameras everywhere, you know, so it's even easier to catch offenders now more than ever. You know, a lot of them fingerprints, they leaving something behind on the scene. Things are always, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect crime. You can always be caught. 9 times out of 10. It's the officers who have to deal with these type of individuals up close and personal. These are the individuals that you are around 12 to 14 to 16 hours at a time. You're going to deal with a lot of individuals with different personalities, different principalities. All of them have different mental abilities, disabilities. Some of them are mentally ill. You're going to be dealing with 49ers. 49ers are what we consider, where I worked, as inmates that are mentally ill, mentally disturbed. These are the ones who be hearing voices. These are the ones that, 1, 2 in the morning start screaming through the door for no reason, like they seeing demons and purple elephants and stuff like that. You're going to be dealing with these individuals, female inmates as well, who also are bipolar, schizophrenic. You're going to be dealing with a lot of individuals from different walks of life. You're going to deal with gang bangers, gang members. You're going to deal with just a lot of rebellious individuals. There's a reason why they've been incarcerated. They ain't been locked up just to be locked up. You know, I would say this: everyone is innocent though until proven guilty. So don't think that every time, especially in the jail and even in the prisons, don't think that every inmate you meet put himself there. There's been some cases in which I even found out a lot of inmates were falsely and wrongly accused of a crime that they did not do. It happens. But for the most part, they're there. 9 times out of 10, they deserve to be there. They earn their keep there, basically. Okay? This is what you got to deal with as a correctional officer. First, starting out, you go through your orientation. They're going to give you this beautiful pamphlet, make everything sound so great, so wonderful, like I told y'all before about the benefits. They're going to convince you we work here as a team. We work together. We are here for one another. Safety comes first. They're going to give you all the good, wonderful talk. After you get through all of that, you'll go through what's called the physical training. They may have you do a certain obstacle course, okay? Some jails are so thirsty and desperate, they're not even making you do all that anymore, which is dangerous because you got to be physically fit when dealing with these inmates. You get in a fight, a confrontation, you can't be windmilling. You got to know some defense tactics. You got to be ready. You got to be gung-ho. You got to be on it, okay? So you're going to do defensive tactics. They're going to show you these things you do with your hands, feet, whatever. You're going to do obstacle course where you got to run, climb, jump, do all of this and that or whatever within a certain amount of minutes. In some jails, because they're so thirsty, they'll waive it. If you don't get it done within 5 minutes, they'll waive it and say, okay, even though it took you 6 minutes, we're going to waive that 1 minute. You know, they done got desperate now. So they've been in a lot of rules, which is dangerous. And they're trying to act like they're not cutting corners, but a lot of them really are. They're even hiring them younger now. Every jail is different. So I know people going to come in here, well, I work out of jail and it ain't like that. Every jail is different, okay? I know at the jail where I last left, they're hiring them at 18 now, when it used to be 21. They done got just that desperate, okay? Anything will do at this point, right? I even heard there's another prison who is even willing to waive people who only got 1 DUI offense. That's just how bad it done got, y'all. Okay? After a while, they're going to be hiring molesters, child molesters, rapists. They're going to get so desperate because it's really, really hard for them to find people. For one, becoming an officer, they don't want to hire you if you have any type of criminal background. That's another big reason. I'm glad I thought about that. The reason why they're so understaffed, there's a lot of people that's been applying like crazy, but everybody can't fit the bill. A lot of people, even people who didn't do anything majorly bad, like murdering somebody or child molestation, you got too many traffic tickets you never paid. Even if it was 5-6 years ago, some of these jails hang it over you. Some of these jails got an age requirement. I'm like, listen, if the person is physically fit, able to do the job, if they're 55, let them do it. You get what I'm saying? Or put them somewhere in which a part of the jail where they don't have to wrestle with the young bucks as much. Just make it happen. Y'all need staff bad. Stop being picky. After as I was stating, is that they have a lot of these strict requirements that a lot of people cannot meet. Some of them go back as far as 10 years. Like I said, it could be too many minor issues. Like I said, you don't have to unalive somebody, but if they see you never pay none of your traffic tickets, even though that's not a major offense, they look at it like, if you can't respect paying your traffic citations, we know we can't let you work for us. Also, if they find out you are related to anybody within the criminal justice system, you got a brother that's incarcerated, you got a daddy that's incarcerated, if you're married to someone with a criminal record, and if you choose to be slick and not tell them, and they find out later, you get terminated for that. So you might as well let it be known up front. It's a lot of people who got a lot of what the jail don't want to deal with, which is why you got people that's filling out applications like crazy, but they throwing them in the bin, throwing them in the bin, throwing them in the bin, because this person, we can't take a chance with them in our jail. They're with somebody that has a criminal record, or their son is on house arrest. So it's all just all kind of stuff that they nitpick with you about. You feel me? So that's another reason why they're understaffed. They cannot hire any and everybody. So just the fact that you got hired, that speaks volumes within itself, because you have to have a clean record. Okay? Not perfect, but for the most part, you got a good record if they want to take you in, to put you on or whatever. So when you go through the background and all of that other stuff and everything, they're going to have you take some tests. Some have you do written tests. Some have you to do physical tests. You got to deal with getting pepper sprayed. You're going to go through all of these different physical things. Some of it is going to be very uncomfortable, out of your element, like, this is what the hell I signed up for, this is crazy. I remember the first time I got pepper sprayed, I wanted to roll over and die. I felt like I had a out of body experience. But then again, the jails are so desperate now, they're probably not even doing that. But it's important that they do it, because sometimes the inmate can use your own pepper spray against you if you're allowed to bring it in. And if you don't know what they expect, it can be very traumatizing. So they're going to have you do all of this. After all of that is done, you do all this written stuff, physical stuff. Now it boils down to you actually having your graduation ceremony, in which, and I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of different parts, but it's pretty boring in me explaining all of that, so I'm just doing the abbreviated version. You have your graduation, you take a picture with the sheriff, they welcome you to the team, pat you on the back, you do the little oath. I promise to blah, 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 respect my officers, respect my staff, be dedicated, blah, 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 boom, 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 whatever. Then here comes the big test. Now you are going to be shadowing another officer that's going to teach you everything you need to learn about that jail. Me, I'm a loner. I don't like to shadow nobody, and I don't like nobody shadowing me. I was a GTO when I was there during my duration as an officer. Meaning I was a jail training officer. I did train rookies who were coming in how to appropriately be able to conduct this type of job. Now me, I was up front. I didn't sugarcoat. I didn't tell them the salesman pitch. Okay? I told them, look, if this is the job you're going to do, you cannot have personal problems going on at home. You got to have a wife that trusts you. You got to have a husband that trusts you. This is not one of them jobs where your husband and wife can call you every 5 minutes and ask you where you at and what you're doing. You're all going to be working around other men. You're going to be around inmates. You're going to be around other staff members. If you have a jealous boyfriend or a baby daddy that's not consistent, not supportive, does not want to help you keep the kids, you're not going to survive here very long. You're going to need a support team, because you're not going to get off your same time every day. What else that I would like to say? I'm losing my train of thought. It's just so much to get in. And I was honest with them. I didn't tell them I didn't butter them up. I said, do you have a good babysitter? You can't leave this job just because child care people need you to come get your kid. This type of work, you get off all kind of hours. If you want something where you're going to get off the same time every day, like I said, it's not going to work. I don't recommend single mothers do this job unless you got a strong support system. I don't recommend women who got kids and have a husband, if he works a lot like you, and Even when he was working, you had to pick up your kids and drop off your kids. It's not going to work. If you have a partner or a companion that works just as many hours as you do, it's not going to work. You cannot work this job if you don't have a strong support system, if you don't have a solid foundation, because you're going to be working a lot of hours. Okay? So they're going to assign you to another officer that's been there longer than you. That's what I did. You're going to be taught how to run the jail, to run the wing. For one, they're going to be babysitting you, monitoring you. They're going to show you how to do your security checks. They're going to show you how to do pat, search, and seizure on inmates. You got to do cell extractions. That's when you actually go in their cells and search and look through all their belongings. They're going to teach you everything you need to learn and need to know and all of that. So let me get out all of that. Eventually, they'll cut the umbilical cord. You're on your own. Nobody's there to monitor you anymore. Other than your higher ups, they'll see you on the camera and watch what you're doing. But as far as that, you're on your own now. Whatever decision you make is going to have to be based off street smarts. It's going to have to be based off common sense, your gut feeling, intuition. You're going to have to use all of that. Because this is one of them jobs, I don't care how much somebody train you, they can't train you for everything. You're going to see some shit that you didn't even see in the handbook you was going to have to deal with. You're going to run into a lot of things. You're going to run into a lot of obstacles. And you're going to have to think fast. You can't always go down radio and call as soon as an inmate is trying to attack you. You're not going to be able to just jump and run away and from things when they happen. You got to be able to think smart, think fast, be on it, and use good judgment. If you're somebody, you don't have a lot of confidence, you don't have enough of street smarts, you can't think fast, you're not going to survive as a correctional officer. They can't train you for every little thing. They can't. Some things are just common sense, okay? Or whatever. So, just figured I'd tell you that. So, why is it constantly understaffed? Why are people leaving? If this is so wonderful, if the jail is such a great place to work, and they're telling you you're a team player, we see you as family, we work together, then why are they so understaffed? The first thing I want to say is they're understaffed because the officers are burnt out. You're going to have a very rigorous schedule. The last jail where I worked at, they printed out a schedule the last week of every month. And that was so you would know way ahead of time what days you're going to work, which days you're going to have off. I would say on the average, within the whole month, I would probably have maybe 10 days off. And those were scattered. Meaning 1 week I may have 1 or 2 days off. Another week I may have just 1 day off. Another week I may have 3 days off. It all depends. A lot of factors play into why your schedule is going to be a hot mess. The reason why your schedule and you got all these rigorous hours, because for one, the higher ups are too bougie to get down and work with the low rank officers, meaning just regular officers, not no lieutenant, not no sergeants, whatever. The corporals on down, you are considered, no, let me take that back. The sergeants on down, you're pretty much considered like low rank officers. The lieutenants, the captains, you have a few that are professional that will see low rank officers suffering, and they will step in and try to, alleviate the burdens and come in and do a couple of hours and help out with lunch breaks. This is the problem. You got to do two things at hand. You're going to have to do what's called mandated overtime and stay over. Let me tell you the difference between the two. When they give you the schedule, this is how they did it at my jail. Like I said, every jail is different. Find out from your jail so you know exactly what you're getting into before you sign a dotted line. The last week of the month, they will print you out a full schedule. If you get 10 days off within that month, that's a blessing. If you get 5 days off, that's a blessing. You're not going to get a lot of days off because, put it this way, like I said, they will tell you 1 week you will work 3 and you off 4, and then next week you'll be working 4 and off 3. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Work 3 days, then you off 4 days, or you'll work 4 days and off 3 days. But y'all get my drift, okay? Let's just say that first week you only have to work 3 days out those 7 days, okay? Those other 4 days, 7 days out the week. So those other 4 days, that's supposed to be your chill day, right? Because this is your 3 you work and you have 4 off. Well, those 4 days you thought you was going to have off, 2 of those are going to be taken from you because it's called what? Mandated overtime. Mandated overtime means you have to come in and work on your day off. Plain and simple, right? Why is it like that? Because that's just the way it is. That is their slick way of letting you know we're not really working you, but we're working you. Yeah, we told you you're going to have 4 days off, but due to mandated overtime, you got to work 2 days out there full. So that whole 4 days you thought, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, no, that they usually do it Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that you thought you was going to have off, you're going to only have off that Friday, Saturday, but you have to come in that Sunday, Monday, which sucks ass. I hated it, okay? And those were, and made it so bad on the long week when you already had to work 4, and you only got 3 days off, they'll take them 2 days away from you where you got to do mandated overtime, which means you only have 1 day all to yourself. The reason it's this way is because the jail is constantly short. There's no way possible they can give you 3 whole days off together, 4 whole days off together. Every once in a while, you'll have a lucky streak in which they're fully staffed. Nobody's been fired that month. No one has quit that month. That's a good month in which you may get your 3 or 4 days off. But lately, the way these jails have been, that's almost non-existent. You're not going to get around not having mandated overtime. So that's how mandated overtime works. You're going to have to use some of your days off to work. The only difference is you'll get paid overtime. Okay? You're going to get double the pay working mandated overtime because you're coming in on the day in which you're not supposed to work. Okay? Then you have what's called stayovers, which really sucks ass because with mandated overtime, at least they'll give you a schedule and let you know your mandated overtime days. So you'll know not to plan a vacation. You'll know not to plan certain stuff because you already know you're going to have a couple of those days that you have off are not going to be yours. Stayovers are the worst. This is how stayovers work. Stayovers work like this. Let's say you work day shift. Day shift, you work 7:30 and you get off about 8:30. 12 hours, whatever. Let's say you down to 2 hours. Your shift is almost over. You done fed your inmates. You done did their laundry. You made them get their laundry. You did everything you were supposed to do. You're looking at the clock. You ready to go home. You don't work these long hours. You're looking forward to getting some sleep. You're looking forward to stopping and picking you up a sausage biscuit because you're hungry. Excuse me. Your corporal calls you or your sergeant calls you when you're only down to 2 hours. Officer T. Yeah, what's going on, Sergeant? How can I help you? Well, you don't answer the phone like that. This is Officer So-and-so. How can I help you? You always acknowledge who you are. I know you were supposed to get off, but we're going to need you to stay over. Yeah, 3 people call out. So because of that, we're not going to be able to let you off on time today. Now imagine this happening at least 3 times a week. That's called a stayover. Stayover means we're going to have to hold you hostage some more hours. Because the people we thought you'll relieve, the officers who were supposed to come in and relieve you so you could leave that wing, they decided to call out. They had all night to call. They had all day to call out. They wait till you down to 2-3 hours when it's almost time, is when it's close to them coming in and say you can't come in. Guess what? You can't argue about it. You can't get mad. You can't tell your sergeant, well, I got to pick my kids up from childcare. Or I got to pick my husband up from work. We only got one car. When you fill out that application, they let you know. You got to stay at your post at all times. You are there to accommodate the jail. The jail is not there to accommodate you. The only thing you can do is call mom and call daddy, pick up your kids from childcare, or call your husband or wife and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to pick you up. You're going to need somebody else to bring you. If you have a family that's totally dependent on you, this job is not going to work. Rest assured. That's the difference between mandated overtime and stayovers. And guess what? You got to do both. You don't get to pick and choose which one you want to do, which one you don't want to do. Another thing being a correctional officer is that due to so much burnout, having to do mandated overtime excessively, having to do stayovers excessively, the next issue is you have to work with a lot of badge heavy staff, superiors. You got cocky, nasty, biggity, boasty sergeants, lieutenants, captains who think because they've been there longer than you, they are too good to have to step down and help you out when they see you getting overwhelmed. Mind you, you're a one-man band. You're over 55 to 60 individuals. Okay? So, your staff, you're going to discover, like I discovered, they're worse than the inmates. The inmates, you have some kind of control to a degree. You can make them lock down. You can take away privileges, write them up. Things you can do in the event they get too out of hand with you. But what do you do when it's your own sergeant, your own lieutenant that's disrespectful, think that they can handle you all kind of way, and think because you're new to the game, you're starting out, you don't know your stuff like they know it. What do you do when they abuse their authority? Make you work all of these extra hours while they letting other officers not work as many hours. They got you coming in doing mandated overtime, but you got to do 12 hours. While the officers they like or get along with only have to do 8 hours. It's a lot of favoritism. It's a lot of politics. It's very frustrating. You're going to see a lot of that. A lot of officers done built alliances with other officers. There's a lot of cliques. You have officers who all started together. Some of them started together 20, 30 something years ago. They have built a bond. They have built a friendship. You're going to be up against a lot of that. They're going to tell you that if you have an issue with your leader or your superior, your supervisor, that you can go and report that. But this is the problem. 9 times out of 10, when you go and report the lieutenant or the sergeant who's being abusing their authority, talking to you all kind of way, making your schedule hard, the problem is when you go and report them, you're reporting them to somebody who already has a friendship or an alliance. 9 times out of 10, if you're dealing with superiors who have been working there for 10, 15, or 20 something years, they already got clout. They have already built alliances. They got people that's going to cover their back. They got people that's going to look out for them. I learned this the hard way. Even when you're being mistreated, and you do have the right to report that, you do have the right to protect yourself, but the thing about it is you're taking a chance, because 9 times out of 10 you're reporting your superior to somebody who already has an alliance, who has built a friendship with this person. A lot of these officers, they gotta have drinks together. Hell, some of them are even smashing each other. Okay, it's been a lot of officers having affairs with other officers. Just because you see all these professional uniforms, that don't mean these jokers are clean. In fact, some of them are just as dirty, if not dirtier, than the inmates. Okay? You're going to see a lot of corrupt staff behavior. And this is the reason why a lot of officers have left. There's too much favoritism. You report another officer, especially if it's one that got rank, and it becomes personal. I've experienced it. Once you report them, at that point, they will find any little thing to try to get rid of you. You become a threat when you call officers out on their bull, when you throw them under the bus, only because you're trying to protect yourself, not because you're trying to just be the shit starter, whatever. But a lot of these jails, these upper staff, they have been there so long to where they feel so safe and secure with their spot to where they feel like they can do anything to you and they know nothing's not going to happen to them. At the end of the day, if you're low rank, you're discardable. You have no weight to really challenge your superiors. And it's sad that it's built that way, but the problem is a lot of these jails, what they should have done is had a program in which there was outsiders that officers will feel more comfortable going to there's a problem other than going to the chain of command. Because the problem is when you're going to your chain of command, you're probably going to somebody who's already friends, or that officer, the sergeant, could be secretly smashing the lieutenant that you're complaining about. It's a lot of corruption in corrections. Okay, it just really is. For that reason, a lot of officers have left. It's too many cliques, too many alliances. You really have no way of protecting yourself, even when you're not in the wrong, because at the end of the day, officers are going to look out for the other officers who they have an alliance, who they have a bond, who they have a relationship or friendship or history with. You're an officer, you only been there 3-4 years, and you report an officer who's knowingly mistreating you. You can produce documents, you can produce receipts, you can produce all of that. At the end of the day, if they already have an alliance with that officer, they're not going to protect you. They will sit up there and do all that good talk. Okay, well, I'm going to investigate it. I'm going to look into the situation. I'm going to take care of it. Don't worry. We're going to resolve this. We're going to make sure that, you get treated fairly. It's just game. What they're going to do is take the information that you told about their favorite officer, their friend who they go out drinking with, their buddy who they smashed back in the day and they still friends or whatever, and they're going to relate to them, hey, Officer so-and-so came in and told me that you've been overly working her. I'm giving you the heads up. We may have to get rid of her. We may have to start, finding frivolous things to write her up for, to put it in her file so we can smoothly get her out of here so she don't have to keep reporting you. If she's reporting it to me, she see I ain't doing nothing. Eventually she's going to go over my head, and then now me and you both. It's very grimy. This is the reason why a lot of officers have left. A lot of these jails, these prisons are not going to tell you that. These upper staff, they don't care. They know the jail is short. They know officers are getting burnt out. Yet they will terminate and fire officers. This is another thing why they're understaffed. You have a lot of officers being terminated for things that could simply just be a write-up. I've seen officers get rolled up because they had an argument with the superior, and because the superior didn't like what that officer had to say because that officer wasn't a pushover, she got terminated for it. They called it being insubordinate. Again, once you have challenged somebody with a lot of rank, they will intentionally make the job so complicated for you. They'll have you doing a lot of things that they know is overwhelming. Have you serving all the trades. Have you doing all kind of extra stuff they ain't had you doing before. Have you coming in working extra shifts that they ain't had you work before, because that is their way of trying to discourage you so you will quit. A lot of officers are quitting due to low-key retaliation. These sergeants, these lieutenants, they're smart. They know what they can get away with doing. And your word is an ant compared to the clout and connections they got, which is an elephant. They know they can simply, because guess what? In these type of environments, we all bend rules a little bit, We all done stayed on our lunch break 10 minutes over at times. We all done called in late. But every little thing now becomes magnified. Why? Because you done piss somebody off with clout. You done piss somebody off with rank. Get to know who knows who. Get to know who's familiar with who in the jail as an officer before you report them. 9 times out of 10, you may be reporting it to somebody who knows them. A lot of officers have had to quit. A lot of officers have got fired. This is what's causing understaffed issues. Basically, grimy upper staff people that are overly abusing the privilege of being able to make things difficult for understaffed. They're not going to tell you that on the news. They're just going to say, we're short of officers. We need more help. Well, maybe if you looked at in these jails, if they took the time to investigate and see why so many officers keep quitting, if they keep bringing up the same name, or if so many officers keep getting fired and they keep bringing up the same name, they will be able to get down to the root of the problem. But if that person has connection and clout with the upperclassmen, it don't matter how many times their names are brought up. A lot of these jails don't mind discarding officers because they feel like somebody's going to always apply. Somebody else is going to always need a job. But they're not taking in consideration, this may be true, but this is the problem. Everybody's not fit for the job. So if you got an officer who's been there 2-3 years consistently, whether if you get along with that person or not, whether if y'all see the eye to eye or not, do what you can to get along with that officer. That makes it easier for everyone when they can keep a consistent staff. But when you have officers getting petty, badge heavy, throwing their weight around, it discourages officers who are dependent upon to not want to be there anymore. That's some of the reasons why the staff is a lot of facilities are understaffed. Not only that, a lot of these penal institutions, they done got lazy with background checks. They don't really check. A lot of these officers, they don't check their records. Not only that, they have lowered the age standard because they done got just that desperate now. You got these young females, 2021, who don't have enough experience with men, and yet they're putting them in the correctional institution to be an authority, to be in leadership over grown men that are more smarter than them, got more street smarts than them, got more experience than them. How you going to allow a 22-year-old girl who just got out of high school herself, still likes to party on the weekends, how are you going to think she's fit or qualified to be a correctional officer over grown men 40, 50 years old who know how to smell the weakness on a young female and know how to pry and play her? A lot of that is going to be going on. Every day I turn around on the news, there's a female officer getting incarcerated, getting locked up because she's smuggling in drugs, smuggling in cell phone, smuggling in cigarettes, smuggling in contraband that some young knucklehead inmate who has more street smarts than her done convinced her or persuaded her to do. All older smooth talking inmate who knows how to prey on gullible, inexperienced young female officers, and they say, she's on the news. They'll walk her out the same jail she used to work at with cuffs on her. I've seen plenty female inmates get hired, only turn around and get fired and end up locked up in the same jail in which they were in authority over the offenders there. It happens every single day. Every day on the news. How many times have we heard young women, young men, young men, they're no exception because these young male inmates know how to get in their head. That is my issue about young people working, doing corrections, because they lack the experience and the street smarts of not being manipulated and doing things they should not be doing. And another thing is women that aren't used to attention, women that aren't used to getting attention from men, women who have problems at home with their husbands, with their baby daddies, who don't show them attention, who don't show them affection, women with low self-esteem, women who crave attention, women who are in abusive relationships. They do not need to work at a correctional facility. I guarantee you they will get got very easily. Inmates are not just inmates. These are human beings that are smart. Some of them have more college degrees than a thermometer. If not, they don't have college degrees. They have street smarts. Just because they got numbers printed on the back of their uniform does not make them less intelligent than you. In fact, many, if not are intelligent, many inmates are more intelligent than the officers who work there. I've heard inmates talk with plenty of common sense. I'm like, bro, all the common sense you got, your ass should have been working here, not getting locked up here. But most of the time, these intelligent inmates, a lot of them, they don't use their their knowledge in the correct manner, and which is how they end up falling prey to the system. Okay. If you're a lonely woman, like I said, with self-esteem issues, you're not going to last long. They're going to notice and pay attention to everything that your husband is not noticing. They're going to tell you your hair is pretty. They're going to tell you they like the smell of your perfume. They're going to notice the nail color on your nails, stuff that your husband don't notice. They're going to notice when you're sad. They're going to notice when you're not confident. No matter how you try to walk around and act like you miss big shit, a lot of these inmates are smart. They could read a woman who does not really have herself together, even though she tries to play the part. A lot of that. Some of these young women, they lack common sense. They not understanding when a cellmate got you to his door for 20-30 minutes, you holding such a long conversation with him, you're not noticing that the inmates behind you that's out in the open are smuggling contraband or smoking cigarettes, got stuff that they're not even supposed to have in their access because you're not doing your security checks. You're not observing and paying attention to what's going on. You got a one-track mind because you're so busy being ditzy and gullible, holding a conversation with this guy who knows that he can get your attention. They don't train. Me personally, I don't think they feel like they train. I don't think they train, especially young people who lack experience in corrections. They don't give them enough of inmate manipulative tactics, which is something that they should be doing. But at the same time, people can't prepare you for every kind of game. Either you got common sense or you don't. People can't tell you every trick in the book. A lot of things I had to learn as I go. That's another thing as an officer. You're going to find out, you're going to learn a lot of stuff that's not even in the handbook. It's going to be things that's going to catch you off guard. Being a female officer, you got to deal with jackers. What are jackers? Jackers are inmates who pull out their penis, pull out their dicks, and actually jack it off on you. Every time they see you walking around, do your security checks. Or if their cell is positioned directly in front of your desk, to where they can see you and jack off on you. You have to deal with all of that. A lot of these guys are very nasty, disrespectful, horny. Got to realize a lot of them, it probably ain't been laid since whenever. You know what I mean? So they got to get themselves off. As a female officer, and you're going to work around a lot of men, be prepared. You're going to see a lot of dicks. You're going to see more dicks than OBGYN. I mean, that's just going to be, it is what it is. Not only that, you cannot let your personal problems, a lot of officers don't last long because personal problems get in the way. You start having problems at home with the wife, problems with the husband, problems with your children, and you got to come to work and still put your game face on. You're not on good terms with your husband at home. Y'all are going through a bad course in y'all relationship. All of that, it can definitely affect you. You got to realize you human, and then on top of that, you're around these inmates all day, so you don't have a lot of time to really be to yourself, in which you can process your personal bullshit. Another thing is, a lot of these jails, they're very strict. You're not allowed to have your cell phone. If you're the kind of person who love your cell phone, you love to do this, you're not going to last. Cell phones are not allowed in the facility. If you're the kind of person, you have to have your phone on you, where you can talk to your kids anytime, talk to your husband anytime. You're not going to be able to work here. Cell phones are not allowed in the facility because a lot of stupid, dumbass officers have given inmates access to use phones and stuff like that. So if you're a phone person, kiss this goodbye. You will only get it when you are on your lunch break. That 1 hour, you can talk to your family, talk to your kids. You may see 20 text messages from people who've been trying to call you and reach out to you. You cannot bring your phone. Your family can reach you, but they're going to have to call the jail. Not only that, there's not going to be a phone near you where you can pick up and call your family anytime you want. In the jail where I work, your family would actually have to call the unit, and the unit would transfer the call to you, meaning you can't make no out calls. You can only make in call. You can only receive in calls. And if you got to make a call, you got to call the hub and give them the number, your husband's cell phone, your wife's cell phone, and they'll call it for you and transfer it to you. Okay? You cannot just pick up the phone anytime you want. They're strict about internet usage, so you're not going to be on Facebook all the time, too many times. They find out you was on Facebook saying or doing anything inappropriate while you were on the clock, that can be used against you, all kind of things. You got to be careful what you post on social media. You can't post anything negative about law enforcement. You can't post anything negative about your opinion on a criminal and how the officer handled it. Once you become a part of that life, corrections, being an officer, you basically cannot say or do anything that's going to make it seem like you are against law enforcement. So if you have an undercover issue with officers and you're trying to become one, you're not going to last in this field. You're going to see officers do things that are funky, unethical, and you can't go on social media posting it. You can't go on social media posting half-naked pictures. You can't do any of that. If somebody gets a screenshot, send it to the sheriff or whoever works at the jail and says, hey, one of your officers was twerking, all of that, or cussing somebody out in Walmart, whatever, and you work for that agency, they're going to get rid of you. I've seen it. I've seen people who were not officers. I've seen a janitor who worked in maintenance at the jail. He got fired because they caught him drunk and cussing out somebody live on Facebook. And of course, anytime you are working for these agencies, your name is associated to that brand. So if they say Officer Johnson was found urinating on a dog outside at such and such stadium, and he's an officer for such and such county jail, anytime you do something stupid and they find out you work for a jail or with the law enforcement area, they're going to associate it to that agency. Agencies hate embarrassment. It's not going to happen. They'll embarrass you first. What they'll do is say, well, we got rid of officer so-and-so because that's not how we want our agency to be represented. We have trained our officers to be professional. We have trained our officers to, hold themselves to a higher standard. So little stuff you normally do, don't get caught out doing something stupid. Don't get caught drunk at the bar. Don't get caught twerking. Don't get caught you punching somebody in the face because you drunk, not because you defending yourself. All of that. Now that we got social media has become the curse of many people losing their jobs. So just letting you know that. They're also understaffed because there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of stress. It's a lot on the officer. You're by yourself, having to be a one-man band. I know during my duration as an officer, when I was in the wing, I had to do everything. I had every request inmates had about medical attention. You got to make sure they get medical attention. If they 2-3 in the morning, some of them want to get up and just bother you, claiming their head hurt, claiming their chest hurt. Guess what? Even if you know they lying, you still got to call the nurse. You still got to dispatch the nurse. The nurse gets there. You have to go to that cell, unlock that door, let the nurse check them out, even though they lying. Just some of these inmates, they just love attention all the time. If you're looking for a job where you're going to be able to chill and nobody don't bother you, you're going to have your good nights. Sometimes where all the inmates are chill, they don't bother you that night. That's a good night. But for the most part, you are constantly going to be in the company of other men and women. They're going to always be in your face, especially if you work out of jail where you're constantly out in the open, meaning you got to constantly walk amongst the inmates. They have access to approach you, within your personal space. And I always tell you, don't allow inmates too much in your close personal space. Also, you cannot allow inmates to touch you. You can't allow them to pat you on the shoulder. You can't allow any of that. Also, you cannot, if there's an inmate in your facility, especially if you was born and raised and you live in that area, you went to school with that inmate, you used to date that inmate, you got to report it to your superior so they can remove that person out of your unit. They don't want anybody being within your assigned unit. Another thing why it's a lot of understaffing is because oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. But the other reason for understaffing is that the constant changes. Once you done got used to your wing, once you done got used to the area they assigned you to, they can tell you, we're closing down unit 3 and we're going to have to move you to another unit. This was one of the most gut-wrenching parts that I hated about being an officer. The main thing I hated was the schedule, the overtime, and the, like a mandated overtime and the stay over. Another thing I hated was they changed stuff on you all the time. once you done been in Unit 3, Unit 4, 5, 6 months, you done got used to the inmates. They done got used to you. You done got used to how you do things there. You got a routine. You got your same inmates who know how to clean, know how to help you pass out the trays. They take you out your element and send you to a whole nother unit where you got to relearn all the inmates. They got to relearn you. And let me tell you something. A lot of these inmates, they are very disrespectful to you for a little while. Till they get to know you. They're very, very disrespectful. They're going to try you. Especially once they see you're no longer being shadowed. You don't have the experienced officer who they know not to play with. That person is no longer training you or walking with you or guiding you on how to deal with them. You're going to get dragged for a while. It's a game to them. The new officers, they like to pick with you, cuss you out, call you bitch, call you hoe, tell you fat, tell you ugly. Anything to try to stir you up. Female inmates are professionals at doing this. Female inmates love to grill female officers. Took me a while, but once I learned my niche, I didn't have the problems that I had. A lot of it comes from having knowledge, having wisdom, knowing how far to go with them. The biggest thing is knowing how to talk to them. A lot of these young rookie officers think they can get up in these jails and talk to them all kind of way. Let me tell you something. I tell them all the time. These inmates outnumber you. You can demand your respect without being a bitch. Without being a dickhead or whatever, and your job will go a long way. Your shifts will be pretty smooth if you know how to stay in your lane and don't be talking to these grown men like they're children. They will curse you out. They have a way of going on Facebook page, finding out where you stay, who you live with, who you know. Let's face it, Facebook has this thing now to where if you're in the same area with somebody, they can somehow, some way, they'll be suggested in attitude. They'll be suggested as a friend to add to your list. I don't know if that's happened to y'all, but I've been in some areas where I would be walking past somebody and they look familiar, and it's like Facebook, because it's mobile, it has this thing now to where they can recommend you to be friends with somebody just because y'all was in the same gathering or in the same area. It's just crazy, but nevertheless, these inmates are smart. They know how to dig into things because they have access to technology, even though they're not in the real world. They can tell somebody, hey, I want you to look up this officer. Their last name is such and such. Look them up. See what they got going on. I recommend most new officers change your name on your Facebook page. They don't need to be knowing your last name is Johnson. Your last name is Brown. So they can go on there, size you up, see how many kids you got. See, how your man look, how your wife look. Just be careful about stuff like that. This is parts that they don't tell you about. Also, you cannot be friends with inmates. Don't accept them as your friend request. Don't accept them as friends in the jail. They're not your friends. They are only there to mentally try to get into your brain so they can figure out how you are, how you move. Simple things that you don't think is innocent. They ask you what you like to eat. Well, you like to go when you off on your days off. They might even ask you what car you got to drive. Keep everything general. When I'm off, I'm off. I'm just chilling. You don't have to sit there and tell them every Sunday I go to Ethel Baptist Church off of Main Street. Keep it basic, keep it general. You don't have to be nasty. It's about balance. You can talk, hold a conversation. I used to joke with the inmates a lot. The inmates is what made my job go fast, made my day go quicker. Because I would talk and chop it up, but I knew how far to go. I'm not going to sit out yourself for 20 minutes and be so fixated on having a conversation with you that I got several other inmates behind me not being supervised. You got to be prepared for bad days. You got to be prepared for days where lieutenants and superiors are going to talk to you nasty because their back is up against the wall. Maybe their job is on the line and they make any bad mistakes coming from up under you is going to reflect on them. You're going to have to deal with superiors having nasty attitudes because they too have a boss over them that's on their ass, so therefore they got to stay on your ass. It's a domino effect. Keep to yourself. Try not to make too many friends there, not even with staff. Sometimes lines get blurred. You got to realize you work with these people for hours at a time. That is how affairs go on. Because you're around other officers more than you are around your own husband, more than you are around your own wife. So, you got to be mindful of stuff like that. But we're going over an hour and 12 minutes. And I don't want to drag too much of y'all time. If I feel like I left something out, I'll go to a part 2. But this is the reason why a lot of these jails are understaffed. They steady complaining they don't have enough staff. They steady saying that they're not making enough. They need more money. They need more grants. Me personally, I truly believe that a lot of these jails are intentionally hiring people to fire them That way they can keep going back to the state or whoever gives them the money and says, hey, I'm not getting enough of staff. I need more money. Meanwhile, they're hiring and firing people and pocketing most of the money and doing what they want to do with it. It's not enough of individuals that are actually going inside these jails and finding out what's going on. They're just letting these jails say, we need more money so we can hire more people. They don't have enough people who understand the inside. They need to take former people who work there who can enlighten them on what's really going on. They need to hire people undercoverly to work in these facilities so they can see what's going on. That's the reason why there's such an excessive high amount of these prisons and jails being understaffed. It's a lot of grimy things that are going on. Believe it or not, most of the grimy things that are going on are from staff. It's for the upper staff. You're the ones with the big badges, with the big titles, with all the alphabets, you know, the LTs and SGTs and CAPTs, all the ones with the alphabets. Those are the most corrupt individuals. In my situation, I feel like they're more corrupt than the inmates. The inmates, you kind of see what they're doing. The upper staff, they are the worst. You can't see what they're doing because they're playing puppet master from behind the curtains, like, you know, the Wiz from the Wizard of Oz, you know, with the big voice and all of that. The wizard, you know, he was the one making all the commands, doing all the stuff to Cowardly Lion and Dorothy to make their journey miserable, cause he was chilling, you know. He was behind, you know, a big old curtain, you know, doing all the you know, manipulating everything, and the whole time, you know, he was really a coward. Because he never really dealt with them up close and personal. So that gave him the room to make the rules as they go. A lot of these upper class, a lot of them are a lot of cowards. They don't want to get down and find out what's going on. Well, why the officers are leaving, why they keep quitting, why they keep getting fired, what is going on. They don't, you know, they don't care about that. Because for one, they're not even down there dealing with the inmates. A lot of time the upper staff, they're sitting in their office drinking coffee, having steaks and garlic mashed potatoes at Ruth Chris with mushrooms, playing golf. They don't care that the other officers to the bottom are tired, overwhelmed, worked out. A lot of that is going on. I wish one day I would love to talk or conversate with the individuals that are over these prisons, over these jails, and let them know what's really going on the inside. There's a reason why they can't keep officers. The criminal justice system is going to continue to deteriorate. It's going to continue to suffer because there's a lot of lack of unprofessionalism. There's a lot of lack of unprofessionalism that's going on behind closed doors. And it's getting to the point to now where people just cannot take it anymore. We're living in times in which a lot of people are mentally on the edge. A lot of people are already under a lot of pressure, and the last thing you need to do is work in a hostile environment, especially when it's already a risky environment, working around a lot of criminals who have absolutely nothing to lose. And the last thing you need to work is, on top of that, is to have to work and be under the authority of a corrupt staff. So anyway, y'all, leave y'all comment below. Let me know if you're interested in a part 2. Let me know so I can do the part 2. If anybody's interested in corrections, anybody's pursuing that career, you're going to be starting soon. You may need some more advice. You may need some more other perspective on what you're going to possibly be getting involved in. You're welcome to email me, cafedayparis79@yahoo.com. I'll be glad to even do a one-on-one with you if need be. Anybody who's interested, please join the movement. I got my membership. It's only $2.99 a month. Support Mocha's Cafe de Paris so I can continue to keep giving you informative information within the black community, within the criminal justice system, all of that wonderful stuff. Also, you're welcome to donate, and if you don't want to join the membership, either way, I gladly appreciate it. Leave y'all comment below. Make sure y'all hit that like. It only takes 1 second. Hit the like button. That way this video could get out to the algorithm. Share this with someone that you think is considering going into law enforcement. So anyway, y'all have a blessed one. Take care, and I'll talk to you another time.